Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lab Classic Remastered. This time we're taking a look at the 1998 Lotus Elise. Yep, that's it. There's a lot of Elises in this game and this one is just the Elise. We've actually already had an Elise go around, the Sport 135, and that was not very good. So here's hoping the Elise will be alright. Now I should say the Sport 135 is statistically one of the worst. This one's actually better. This is the lightest Elise in the game, 614 kilos. That's all it weighs. Hence why it's running the racing modification. It's also the third or second most powerful. I can't remember how it works. Anyways, mid-engine rear-wheel drive, 266 horsepower, 614 kilos. I will say the race mod on this car is very, very good. It was one of those cars where I had to take a long, hard think about what colour I wanted. I could have gone green and yellow, or this colour scheme, which is sort of very loosely based off of the Camel Lotuses from the 1987 Formula 1 season, I think. The one where they had Nelson Piquet win in a Honda powered car. Probably like the last hurrah for Lotus F1 team. I went with this one because I think it looks really, really good on this car. And I hope you agree. Anyways, this car is not all about looking. It's going to get 6 laps of the Motorsport Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5 RS. That's a time of 27.806. This Elise is unlikely to beat that. The Elise. Well, the previous Elise we had, like I said, did not do particularly well. It is down in 121st place, a 31.8111. It's been very slightly beaten by a giant Nissan Hearse. So, how well will this one get along? I'm not sure. I don't have the most confidence in it, but we'll see. The one thing I'm noticing right away is this is quite understeery. I think this is one of those cars where there is so little weight over the front end, it actually affects the handling quite substantially, which is not really what you want. I should say this racing mod is terrific. For me, I mean, Lotus Elises were presented in a lot of different colours, and if you caught the Sport 135 video, you'll know I ran it in silver. That's a very ominous lap time. It is quicker than the previous one, though. You might remember last time with the Elise, I ran a homage to Vanishing Point, the silver. But if I'm being honest, the first gen Elise, the colour I always associate with this car is yellow. I can't remember what the press colour was for this. I think the press colour might have been silver. But I do remember, this was years ago, and I highly doubt this car was still on the road. But around my town there used to be... bear in mind, a middle-aged woman, she kind of looked a bit like an accountant, if I'm being honest. And she used to drive around in, like, the pouring rain in a first-gen Elise. Bright yellow first-gen Elise. And I was like, do you know what? That is, like, you know, that just shows you, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't matter what you look like, what your profession is, anything like that. You can still be far too into cars, and I'm sorry. Daily driving an old Elise, that's dedication to motoring that I simply cannot compete with whatsoever. You know, I love cars, I adore cars. I do not want to drive a Lotus Elise in the pissing rain. I want a TVR, and I think she's far braver than I am, like, legitimately. So that's one very key memory I have of the Elise, and obviously, you know, when I was a kid, growing up in sort of the late 90s, early 2000s, this car was, like, everywhere, you know. Obviously, Top Gear, they had more, like, second-gen Elises, but, no, this first-gen Elise, like I say, Vanishing Point, Gran Turismo, you remember this car. And that's why it's my favourite generation of the Elise, I'll be honest. Across the line, 31.519. I will admit that final corner wasn't the best, but yeah, it's just not a very great driving car, I'll be honest. It's, like I say, I think it's too light. I know that's a weird criticism to have, but we've seen it before with some of the cars in this series. I think it's just too light. too light for its own good, so it can't get any weight under the tyres to really, you know, make it drive well. It is quite interesting that, sort of time-wise, how it's all broken down. I think there's, if you string every good lap together, there's you could go quicker, but I don't think by much. 31.519 will put it in an interesting place though. It goes into 110th. It's actually quicker than the Lotus Elan, which shocks me because that Elan was much nicer to drive. It is about 0.3 up on the Sport 135 we had go around, but I don't think, unless the Motorsport Elise is like just insane, and of course there's the V8 Elise, which we don't talk about, unless they turn out to be a lot nicer to drive than this. I don't see the Elises doing particularly well around here. There's the most powerful Elise, the 190, to come round, but I don't even think that's going to go much quicker. I think I'd be shocked if any of these break the 31s, but anyways, there you go. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something that's a little bit heavier than this. Until then, farewell.